So have you ever just wanted to, poof, disappear from the internet? Completely wipe the slate clean? It's a pretty wild idea, and honestly, it's way harder than you'd think. Let's dig into what it actually takes.
That quote, it really hits hard, doesn't it? It kind of sets the stage for how seriously some people take this stuff. It shows you just how tough it is to keep anything private in a world where, well, everything is connected. And look, for me, this isn't just some thought experiment. Back in 2017, I was the victim of swatting. If you don't know what that is, it's where someone uses your personal info to call in a fake emergency, sending a SWAT team to your house. It was absolutely terrifying, and it's what sent me down this rabbit hole of figuring out how to actually disappear.
So that's really the big question we're tackling here. Is it even possible to totally erase yourself online? And maybe the more important question is, what are you willing to give up to make it happen? Because as you're about to see, every single step you take towards privacy costs you something, inconvenience.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to break this down into a few levels. We'll start with the easy first steps, then get into some more advanced tactics, then we'll explore the absolute final frontier of digital invisibility. And at the end, we'll talk about finding the right level for you.
All right, let's dive into part one. These are the simplest things you can do, like right now, to start taking back a little bit of control over your data. The very first and easiest thing you can do is install an ad blocker. And this isn't just about getting rid of annoying ads. Not at all. This is about cutting off the food supply to this giant corporate surveillance machine that's busy building a crazy detailed profile of you 24/7. And look, don't kid yourself. Your data's big money. On average, big tech companies are making about $700 off your information every single year. They use it for what's called digital discrimination, like they'll jack up prices on you if their data shows you're using an expensive phone or computer. This is a fight for your wallet just as much as it is for your privacy.
So here it is, our first big trade-off. What do you gain? A whole lot of protection from that constant tracking. But what do you lose? Well, a little bit of convenience. Some websites are so loaded with trackers that if you block them, the site just breaks.
All right, ready to level up? We're moving on to stage 2. This is where we get more proactive, locking down your home and really taking control of your identity.
This is where things get a little creepy, honestly. The spies? They're already in your house. Every smart device you own, your TV, your robot vacuum, your fridge, is constantly calling home, sending your data not just to one company, but to dozens of their trusted partners. So, how do you actually fight back against this? Well, one of the best tools out there is something called a Pi-hole. It's basically a bouncer for your entire home network. You run it on a cheap little computer, and it just stops your smart devices from sending your data out to all those trackers. It creates a black hole, and the data just vanishes.
The other big move at this stage is to start living, 100 separate lives. You have to stop using one email and one phone number for everything. You create totally separate identities, a different email, a different phone number, even a different credit card for different parts of your life. And the golden rule is you never, ever let them cross-contaminate. You just have to assume that each one will eventually get leaked.
And boom, there's our next trade-off, right? The payoff is huge, way less data leaking from your home, and you're much safer from data breaches. But the pain is the complexity. Setting up a Pi-hole isn't for beginners, and managing all those separate identities, that takes a lot of active effort.
Okay, buckle up. We're now entering the final frontier. This is the most extreme, the most expensive, and frankly, the most paranoid stuff you can do. This is where you're not just changing your settings, you're changing your entire relationship with society.
First up, you've got to burn the paper trail. Data brokers absolutely love public records. Who owns what property? Who owns what car? The solution? You legally stop owning things yourself. You create trusts and corporations to hold all your assets, which makes it incredibly hard to connect them back to you. This next one sounds like something out of a spy movie, the decoy residence. See, some places, like the DMV, demand proof of where you live. So the workaround is to rent the cheapest apartment you can possibly find, just to get a utility bill and a mailbox. It gives you a legitimate address to use for official stuff, but it's not where you actually live.
At this level, you can't just set it and forget it. You have to get paranoid. You have to constantly test your own system. That means you're hiring private investigators, the very people who are paid to find people to try and find you. Whatever flaws they uncover, you patch them up. And the absolute final step? Going completely off the grid. This means no more cell phones, no more smart devices of any kind, no modern cars. They're just data collection machines on wheels. And you can't travel by plane or train since that requires a government ID. Oh, and here's a fantastic little pro tip for anyone at this level. If you absolutely have to show ID, use your passport, not your driver's license. Why? Simple. Your passport doesn't have your home address printed right on it. It's one less piece of critical info to give away.
Okay, so after all that, from ad blockers to decoy houses, where do you fit in? Now it's time to figure out where you want to land on this spectrum. You know, for pretty much everyone, life looks like this chart. It's tilted heavily towards convenience, with privacy being a tiny little sliver. Every single thing we've talked about today shifts that balance. The more privacy you want, the more convenience you have to be willing to give up.
But here's the most important thing to remember. You don't have to go from 0 to 100 overnight. This is not an all-or-nothing deal. Just start with step 1. Install that ad blocker. See what happens. See how it feels. You can always take the next step, if and when you're ready.
So that's the question I want to leave you with. Really think about your own life, the technology you use, the data you're giving away every day. After hearing all this, what level of privacy are you actually willing to live with?